Providence, Missouri, this is GovLove, a podcast about local government. I'm Lauren Palmer, the Director of Local Government Services at the Mid-America Regional Council, and your host for today's episode. Today we're speaking with Rafael Baptista about his experience in local government and his new role on the ELGL Board of Directors. Rafael is the Director of Strategy and Innovation for Buncombe County, North Carolina. Rafael, welcome to GovLove. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it being here.
Yeah, great. Well, we're looking forward to getting to know you better. And to get us started, we're going to have our signature lightning round. So our first question, what's your most controversial non-political opinion?
I don't think there's a big difference between North Carolina and Kansas barbecue. I've had both and they both taste good.
What? So, I'm from the Kansas City region, and them's fighting words, like right off the bat.
So I'm from Oregon originally. So, when I eat barbecue, I just enjoy the barbecue. I didn't grow up with barbecue. So for me, I just can't really tell the difference. I just enjoy barbecue.
Okay. I mean, I can respect that position. Some people who know me, I was a vegetarian for about 3 years before I moved back to the Kansas City area, where I pretty quickly fell right off that wagon because there's just so many great barbecue options. And every function or event you go to, they're putting amazing barbecue in front of you. So, yeah, it's fun to talk barbecue. But I having the opinion that there's not that much difference with North Carolina. Like, it's a totally different flavor.
I guess I'm just not a connoisseur. To me, I can't tell. I enjoy the barbecue.
Meat's meat. Okay, I got to respect that. All right. Well, speaking of delicious food, my next question is, what's a food that you hate that most people enjoy?
I don't know that most people enjoy it, but my wife definitely enjoys it. I don't like pickles. I don't like the taste. I don't like the touch. I don't like the smell of pickles. I am not a pickle guy.
Yeah, good answer. Good answer. I feel like pickles are a very controversial food. People either love it or hate it, and I feel like it's really split the pickle haters and the pickle lovers, as is your marriage. It appears is a representative sample of that.
Yep, house divided on pickles.
It's nice though, like when you go out and you order a sandwich with a pickle on the side, and
I give
then
it to my wife.
yeah, she winds up with 2 pickles.
Yeah, it works out for both of us. I don't have a pickle, so he gets 2 pickles.
Yeah, okay. Pro tip, listeners: find a partner who's compatible with your pickle choices. Okay, and then finally, what do you do to relax when you're not working?
Well, I have a toddler, so I'm typically chasing around a toddler. But when I really do get to relax, I like to go hiking or go out in nature and just enjoy scenery.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, I didn't know where you were going with that answer. When you said toddler, I don't think you heard the question. I was asking about relaxing.
Yeah, no. Yeah, it's what do I do when the toddler's not awake, right?
Yeah, so that's awesome. Son, daughter.
Daughter, she's 2 years, 4 months, I think.
Wow, fun age. Enjoy that. And then outdoors, you're in North Carolina, which is great because you're close to the mountains and the beaches. Do you have a preference?
I prefer the mountains of west of North Carolina to the beaches. I live in the mountains, so I love all the scenery, all the trees. Leaves change colors in about a week or two where we are, so that's always a really beautiful time of the year.
Oh, yeah, you're painting a lovely picture. It sounds amazing.
It really is.
Well, thank you so much for sharing a little bit about yourself. And we are going to hear more about this incredible community that you work in when we get into our interview. So let's just start there. Like, tell me a little bit about your background and your career path in local government and how you got into your current role.
Yeah, I grew up I grew up the son of immigrants, and my parents came from countries that, the government didn't do the best things for its residents. My dad grew up in Angola, in Africa, and my mother grew up during the military dictatorship of Brazil. So when they came to America, they had me and they had my brother. They were always talking about this notion of it's our responsibility to make sure that government does good for its people. And growing up, I always thought that meant working in political campaigns. And that's what I did during high school, during college, and that's what I set out to do after college. Um, but there was a realization that I had of, wait, my job is to get someone elected. My job's not to actually make a difference. And that didn't sit quite right with me, so I decided to leave politics. And that's where I actually connected with ELGL for the first time. I met one of the co-founders, Kirsten White, at an alumni event because we both went to the same undergraduate college. And she was telling me about ELGL and this great organization. So I came, met some of the folks, and got inspired to go get my Master of Public Administration at UNC Chapel Hill. Um, and got my MPA, got married out of the program, and started my career in local government in North Carolina. I was an ICMA management fellow in Durham. I was a strategy analyst in Durham. Then I went to the city of Raleigh as a strategy analyst. And then I was an economic development manager for the city of Raleigh before coming to Buncombe County 2 years ago as the strategy and innovation director. So I've been in local government for about 7 years now. And with the exception of a short stint in economic development, I've always been in the strategy and innovation realm.
Yeah, very cool. You've had an interesting background. It sounds like you had some really great opportunities in local government. So we're going to talk about your role in strategy and innovation, but to start, tell us what our listeners should know about Buncombe County. Tell us about your community and what makes it unique.
Yeah, so we are located in western North Carolina, in the mountains of North Carolina. We are in the foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountains. And we are a tourist community. Tourism is our number one economic sector. Year round, we have tourism, right? In the winter, come and go skiing nearby and enjoy your food. In the spring, summer, and fall, come go hiking and enjoy our food. We're also home to the Biltmore Estate, which was Vanderbilt's private home and the largest privately owned estate in America. So it's a popular tourist destination. So that's kind of us in a nutshell. We have somewhere between 200 and 300,000 residents. We have one kind of larger city, the city of Asheville, and then we have a bunch of rural, kind of smaller rural communities and a lot of rural area. We actually have quite a bit of farmland and agriculture in our community. So um, we're this really interesting blend of urban, tourist, retirement, and farm and conservation. So it's a really nice area. Our local government has about 1,600 employees in the county, and we're a full service county government.
Okay. So your role is Director of Strategy and Innovation. Want to learn more about what that means in your organization. So tell us just what's a typical day look like as Director of Strategy and Innovation?
I sit down in my computer. I work from home. I sit down on my computer and I'm either typing up emails, responding to things, doing research, writing memos, or on video calls. But generally speaking, a lot of my role, I have a team of 10 folks, and our primary role is we are kind of trusted advisors, management consultants within the organization. So, if a department needs help with project management, analysis, facilitation, strategy development, or just someone that they can lean on and say, hey, is this a good idea or is this a bad idea? What do you think? They contact us and we work with them. We do about 175 projects a year as consultants internally. We also manage the development of all policies for the county. We do the county's transparency work. So if you go on buncombecounty.org and you look at all the dashboards, that was someone on my team who created them. Then we manage the county's strategic plan as well. So we're kind of a jack of all trades group of management analysts that support the entire county. So for me, a typical day is meeting with my supervisors, meeting with management analysts to check in on projects, to help with projects, to work on projects. Then I spend a lot of time working with our county manager's office and other department directors to ensure that we are on track to meet our strategic goals, both at an enterprise level and at the different departmental levels.
Mm-hmm. So organizationally, are you your own department? You report to the governing body? Are you an arm of the county manager's office?
We're our own department that reports up through the manager's office.
Got it.
So in our organization, I think there's maybe 3 or 4 departments that report to the governing body, and the rest report up to the county manager's office, and we're one of those.
Okay, very good. So tell us about a project that you're working on now that has you especially energized.
So this one might sound kind of dull to a lot of people, but we have a personnel ordinance. And when I got here, the personnel ordinance had 167 pages. It was a very long, very confusing ordinance. And there was a lot of random stuff just stuck in there that had been put in there through budget ordinance and things like that. And we've been working to rewrite it. So we've taken it from 167 pages and it's now down to about 50. And we're working to get it to about 10 or 11 pages in the next year. And I'm really excited about it because it's really allowing us to position ourselves as a much more progressive employer and employer of choice. I'm the one who speaks to the governing board about the ordinance, and I was telling them once that we were talking about health insurance and benefits, and I said that I went for fun. I said, "Am I eligible for health insurance?" And I had to look at 6, 7 different pages. It took me a little while to make sure I understood. Oh yeah, I do get health insurance. I'm pretty sure I do. But now with the rewrite, I know for sure I get health insurance. So it's something that it's not probably exciting to most people, but it's really allowing us to right size our employee benefits to focus on benefits that our employees want, and to make it just easier for employees to understand what are their rights and what is their role and what is the expectation of employees within the organization. Um, Policy can be used either as red tape, stop things, slow things down, or it can be green tape to encourage things. And we're trying to use any opportunity we get to touch a policy to make it a green tape policy.
Yeah, great. I mean, I don't know if that's boring to most people, but among the GovLove audience, I mean, that's the kind of stuff we love, like government efficiency. So good work, great example. Uh, what's something about your work that's frustrating?
I would say probably the most frustrating piece is we are, like I said earlier, we're consultants, we're internal consultants. You ask us to come in and do a project for you, we do it. Typically, we come up with recommendations, we write up a memo, we explain it to you, we hand it off to you, and then we move on to the next project. So the most frustrating thing is when you're working on a project, you deliver the project, and then several months later, you get a call from that department or the county manager's office saying, "Hey, we got this problem going on. Can you come and fix it?" And we're like, "We did fix it.
Right.
You just didn't implement the fix." So that can be the most frustrating part is when you help fix a problem that doesn't actually get fixed. And one of the things we're trying to do organizationally is we're trying to empower departments to have people who can work with us through projects. So it's not just we hand it off and walk away, but we're actually working with them more step by step throughout the whole process to increase the likelihood of whatever is done as a result of the project being implemented and being successful.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. How do you task your work? Can departments just make a request to you? Are you proactively looking for needs in the organization?
Yeah, it's a really good question. So we actually have like a ticketing system, and departments can submit tickets and request projects. And the majority of our work is upon request, right? It might be a department asks us to come in and work with them. It might be that the county manager's office asks us to come in and work with the department. And that's probably a huge chunk of our work. But when it comes to innovation work and driving strategy and innovation within the organization, we talk a lot about building a culture of strategy and innovation in Buncombe County. That is work that we're really proactive. We've developed our training programs. We've developed a lot of things that we do. So, as much as we are very responsive to our departments, we also try to be really proactive in supporting them.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, this is a personal opinion, and maybe you disagree, and I hope you'll tell me if you do. But I really feel like innovation is maybe the most overused and misunderstood word in the government lexicon. So you're an expert with innovation in your title. What does innovation mean to you?
It really is a very overused and misunderstood word. Um, I I used to go to new employee orientation every Monday morning in Buncombe County to talk about innovation. But now they watch a video of me talking about innovation. One of the things I've always talked about is I tell people I'm an innovation director, and people say, "Oh, do you wear a white coat, work in the lab, trying to solve problems?" And I don't. Innovation to us organizationally, we think about is taking small incremental steps to improve a process, to improve a service. Innovation is about how did I do today and how can I do a little bit better tomorrow. Um, to me, innovation and process improvement really are one and the same. Um, so that's kind of how I define it. I think we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to have transformative change be how we define innovation, when really it's just doing something a little bit better.
Yeah, I like that description of um, yeah, just those kind of incremental process improvements really adding up over time. So give us an example of maybe your favorite local government innovation story.
Um, well, my favorite, that's a tough. I've had the opportunity to see quite a few. Um,
You don't have to pick just one. Like maybe you can tell us one from Buncombe County and one from another community that you just admire for doing something innovative.
yeah, yeah, that sounds great. So when I worked for the city of, I think it was the city of Durham, I was, like any person who had just graduated from an MPA program, trying to figure out what government meant. I was doing a lot of ride-alongs, and I went out with these two guys whose job was to go out to streams and to measure like the water quality of the stream. And for the most part, it was relatively straightforward. They had their, pants that were waterproof. They would go and stand in the middle of a creek and put a little vial of water in there, put in a little tester, and see what the test was. But there was one creek that they had to go and like they had to climb down quite a few feet into like pretty fast moving water to get the water sample, and it was relatively dangerous. Um, and those two guys didn't particularly care to get hurt on the job. So they went to Lowe's and got some like long poles that they tied together with duct tape, and then put a little like fish hook on the end of it and connected it to the vial, and use the stick to be able just to stand at the top and get the water without actually having to go down and put themselves in danger.
Yeah,
Um, and to me, like that was really smart because I went with them once when they didn't have that, and then they told me they had it and asked me to come back to see them put it in action. It was a lot quicker, and they saved a lot of time. And more importantly, it was a lot safer, and they weren't putting their physical safety in harm by going and getting that water test. So I love that example because it was just them saying like, "There's a problem, let's fix the problem."
yeah,
Um,
totally.
and in Buncombe County, there's I think a lot of examples, but one that I really like is we launched an innovation training program, and we told employees who went through the program, "Hey, go and do an innovation project. Show us what you did. Show us that you make improvements, and then we'll give you some swag, and we'll highlight you in front of department directors and an employee newsletter and all that." We've got a couple of projects, and they're all really great. But we had this one librarian who submitted a project around reorganizing a desk. And when the
Okay.
project came through, I was very, very confused. I was like, how's this cool? You organized your desk. Your desk is cleaner. Like, that's cool. Good job. But really? And then I actually read through like the project summary, I saw the pictures, and then I actually, because my team had decided that she deserved to get the recognition, I went and gave her a little plaque in person. And she was showing me the actual innovation. I was like, oh, this makes a lot of sense. It was not her desk, it was the circulation desk at our main library branch. And
Okay.
residents would come, patrons would come and ask for things, and then they would have to open the desk drawer out and search for the different things like special library cards or event cards, things that patrons wanted. And it was a huge mess. It was disorganized. and people would just be there shuffling around trying to find stuff. And the patron would be getting upset, and then there would be a line being built up. So he completely reorganized it, 5S'd it, to use Lean Six Sigma terminology, put visual management there so people could see exactly where each thing went. And I actually have gone back and looked at it, and it's still there a couple months later. So is it a huge transformative innovation? No, but every time a patron goes to a library circulation desk, their experience is a little better because of that. And I love telling that story because to me, that's innovation in government. Any employee can innovate. It might be a huge innovation or it can be a small innovation, but any employee can be innovative.
I love that story. Both of those examples are really fun and relatable. And I think that's a really cool message coming from you as a strategy and innovation director to say any employee can innovate. It doesn't have to be someone at a director level or in your strategy office. Um,
Because I think the reality is, as a director or someone in the strategy office, it's actually pretty hard for us to innovate, right? Um, you know, because we're not in the field, we're not doing the service delivery. We don't fully understand all the steps that go into it. You really need to be in a position where we can coach and we can support the people doing the service delivery, help them understand how to do things a little bit better. Um, my personal favorite innovations that I did was working with an EMS department in a different community, and they were having issues with paramedics quitting. I mean, that's not unique to that community, it happens everywhere.
sure.
And the community did what you normally do. You throw some more money at them, increase salaries, you try to hire some more ambulances and hire more medics so their call volume's lower. And it wasn't working, right? It would improve for a little bit and then go away. Wasn't sustainable. So we learned about human-centered design. We had gone to a class at Duke University about that, and we said, well, let's try that out. So me and a coworker, we rode along and all the paramedics and got to learn from them and see their experiences and took notes. Then we did a facilitation where we said, hey, this is what you told us while we were riding with you. What do you think? What do you think are the problems causing you all to quit or to consider quitting? Okay, well, what can we do to solve those problems? And they came up with like a playbook of solutions, and worked with them to facilitate with the county manager's office, and the playbook got implemented, and we saw improvements being made. But at no point in that process did I tell them, here's the problem, or did I tell them, here's the solution. I kept asking them, what's the problem? And then what's the solution to that problem that you identified? And if you want to be a really successful person in county management or in a budget office in a strategy shop, it's all about facilitating, helping people solve their problems.
Yeah, that's great. That makes a ton of sense. Thanks for elaborating on that. Um, well, this has been a fun conversation on innovation and the work that you're doing there in North Carolina, but we're going to switch gears a little bit and talk about your new role on the ELGL Board of Directors. So tell us why you were interested in pursuing that position.
Yeah, I've been involved with ELGL for, I guess, 10 years now. So I'm not one of the first members, but I'm one of the earlier group of members that joined. So I've been involved for, like I said, 10 years. And I think my involvement with the LGL has really been the same story that a lot of people, right? It ebbs and flows. There have been seasons in my life where I've been really involved, and seasons in my life where I've probably kind of forgotten the LGL existed for a little while,
Okay.
and then kind of all in between. Um, and when I saw that ELGL was developing a new strategic plan, they were looking for a board of directors. I was kind of sitting there thinking, you know what? I think this is the time for me to get back into that real involvement. I do strategic planning for a living. This might be the right time for me to raise my hand and try to get more involved again. Um, and I also think that ELGL is really at a crossroads. This organization is so much larger than what it was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
The growth is just crazy. It used to be, a group of us would go to Kent and Kirsten Wyatt's kitchen and talk about local government while their dog was sleeping next to the table and their daughters were running around. And then we would occasionally go to a restaurant and meet someone interesting to have conversations. That was ELGL.
Right.
Now there's a national conference. There's members across the world. There's employees. It's completely different in a good way. So I'm excited to be involved in this intensive role in this new phase of ELGL's journey.
Yeah. But yeah, thanks for sharing your personal story about the the founding days. It's really incredible how the organization has grown, and a testament to really tapping into something of people in local government who really want to celebrate the profession and um, network and all the great things that ELGL does. So thank you. So you're new on the board of directors. What are some of the things that you hope to accomplish during your term?
I'll say probably the biggest thing is to help be part of answering the question of what does ELGL want to be when it grows up, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What does ELGL look like 5 years, 10 years from now? Um, you know, we've always been the fun organization. We bring people together, we empower and we engage with local government professionals across the spectrum. So, how do we stay true to that and those values and ensure that we're continually providing value to our members? So, that's really the biggest thing I hope to accomplish to help answer that question. And I'm a strategic planning guy. I do strategic plans for a living. Make sure a brand new strategic plan is successful. Um,
Yeah.
there's nothing that drives me more crazy than a strategic plan that sits on the shelf.
Yeah. Right guy at the right time. Going through that ELGL strategic planning process, very eager to see what you and the board do with that and the direction that you go. So, what is the number one thing that ELGL members and GovLove listeners can do to help support the mission of ELGL?
It's a really good question. I think engage, right? And what I mean by that is engage with the LGL at conferences, engage with other ELGL members, engage with ELGL on social media, but really allow us to understand what is it that you want from ELGL. We are a member driven organization. So it's hard to make decisions at a member driven organization if the members aren't telling you what they want. So I would encourage people to reach out to board members, to reach out to our ELGL staff and to us on our different platforms and let us know what is it that you want from ELGL. What can we do to serve you? I think that's the number one thing that folks can do.
Yeah, I think that's a really great message. I mean, just in my experiences with ELGL, it's very inviting and there's something for everyone. There are so many different ways to get involved. And so, yeah, I guess I just echo that sentiment to our GovLove listener audience. Like, if you are not more involved and want to be, please reach out because we want to help you find a way that fits, that meets with your professional goals and helps drive the mission of ELGL forward.
We always have something we can have our members do. So if you want to raise your hand, we'll find a way for you to help us out. So
For sure, for sure. Well, this has been a really good conversation, Rafael. Is there anything else that you want to share with our audience?
um, I probably have a supervisor who would, kick me if I didn't say this. We are going to be hiring very shortly. So if you are interested in working for an organization with flexible work policies, great professional development in the beautiful mountains of North Carolina, where America's number one restaurant, according to the James Beard Foundation, is, go to buncombecounty.org and check out our job postings. We are hiring. So that's something people could do to help me is apply for a job. We are hiring in a lot of different roles.
Um, I'm just, I loved your little sales pitch there. You talked about the job, you talked about the culture, you talked about the community. You really got it all in there. I mean, I want to come check it out.
You should. And I'll say, for me, I believe that one of the biggest failings of local government is we do an awful job of selling ourselves as an employer. Um,
Oh, man, it's so
if you are
true.
able to speak about the difference that folks can make in local government, you can really sell it. The reality is, do I enjoy the fact that I get pretty good benefits in local government? Do I enjoy the fact that I get a pension? Sure. But you know what I enjoy the most? That my job every day is to think about how to make the community better. right? When I'm in meetings, I'm not thinking about how to make a corporation richer. I'm not thinking about how to help an elected official get reelected. I'm simply thinking about what's best for the community. And there's not a lot of jobs that can say that.
Yeah.
Um, so
Oh,
um, we just need to do a better job of selling and being really transparent about what we do and be willing to be flexible and try new things and be better employers.
oh, 100%. You're like giving me the warm fuzzy in my heart, Rafael, like hitting all the high notes. And, for our regular GovLove listeners, this is a topic that we have talked about a lot on the podcast. I feel like there was a while there where we did like 10 podcasts in a row that were somehow related to workforce challenges on local government and just had a string of guests that echoed exactly what you're saying, that we just don't do a good job of marketing ourselves and telling our story about the meaningful work that people do in the public sector. So, but you gave us a great example there. You gave a little sales pitch for your community that was really um, compelling and did touch on those topics.
Yeah, my wife works in local government and sees over HR in her community, and she was telling me, but she was listening to GovLove, and I don't remember who the guest was, but he was talking about how to interview better. Um,
Oh,
and this is going to make us sound like huge nerds, but we talk a lot about local government, and we were having a conversation about like, so you're saying this is what the guy said, here's his tips, and we were like, does that make sense? Does that work? Should we do that? Should we not? So we geeked out on that GovLove. I really don't remember who it was, but we definitely geeked out on how to best interview people.
okay. I'm going to need you to send me your wife's email address, and we're going to bring her on the podcast to talk about her work in workforce talent and acquisition, and also Gov Love and Love, since you guys have this nice Gov Love story.
Facilitated by ELGL. We met at the UNC program because ELGL convinced me to go get my MPA. So I guess I owe my marriage and my daughter to ELGL.
Oh, and a local government. Stop. It's too much. I'm feeling all the feels.
Yeah. So um, gotta love local government.
For sure. Well, that's a great note to wrap up our episode. Before we close, if you could be the Gov Love DJ, what song would you pick as our exit music?
It's a really difficult one. And this is a dad pick, but my daughter demands that I play Wheels on the Bus every time I drive her to daycare and back. And that's literally the only song I can even think about these days because I listen to it to so much. So for my daughter, I'll have to say the Wheels on the Bus.
We're going to play this song. We're going to put it in our listeners' heads for the rest of the week. They can send emails to you about it. But what a great choice. Wheels on the Bus, another public service of getting school kids to school safe and on time.
Exactly.
Yep. Great way to end the episode. Well, all right. That ends our episode for today. Rafael, thank you so much for coming on to talk with me. For our listeners, you can reach us at elgl.org/govlove or on Twitter at @govlovepodcast. And we're on all of your favorite podcast subscription services. So please subscribe to GovLove through your favorite podcast service and leave us a review so more people know that GovLove is the podcast for local government topics. And if you have a story for GovLove, we want to hear it. So send us a message at Twitter at @GovLovePodcast. Thanks for listening. This has been GovLove, a podcast about local government.
The signals on the bus go blink,